Hi, this is Bill Shee from Latin American Masters. We're going to talk about the piece in front of us by the great Mexican artist Gunther Gerzso. He is generally thought of as being Mexico's greatest abstract artist, and I don't think there's any argument about that. But let's just look at the work for a second, and you look at it and I'll look at it, and I'll tell you what I see, and you can see what you see. Let's start with the use of color. When you look at the piece, you see that it has these beautiful sort of pomegranate reds that are very concentrated in certain sections and then seem to sort of bleed out into the rest of the composition. These are set against a very beautiful, soft yellow coloration. They're all at the very bottom of the piece. There's a strip of an almost mineral green, as if it was formed by jade or some sort of mineral in the ground. Other colors that one sees in the piece are blue and a bright and different tonalities of yellow that inhabit the right-hand side of the composition. Most importantly, the color gray, or if you want to call it an off-white, which covers the middle of the piece and represents in spatial terms the area of the piece which is closest to the observer. So when we look at that gray area, a couple of things happen. One, when you look at the form itself, you have two areas that look like they're cut out of the form. One up above on a sort of diagonal, and one at the bottom. In both cases, these have a very sharp edge to them, almost razor-like. And that's very interesting. That sort of sharpness is echoed by lines which look like they are not only drawn but incised into the surface. And they also seem to be floating free of the composition. You'll notice in those razor cut areas that there are two lines which seem to be floating free. There are also lines within the gray areas of the area closest to the outside of the composition, which also seem to be floating free. That's interesting also. It's as if they create a sort of music or lyricism. Now let's talk about what's happening with the work spatially. I mentioned the gray areas being flat and the red area underneath it. Notice the way around the edges of that gray area, they're dark and shadowed. That creates depth. The overall space is rather foreshortened, rather compressed, but he's also giving you the sense that there are spaces within the piece and areas that you're not seeing. To try to contextualize Gunther Gerzso's work from an art historical standpoint, I would point out just three things. One, there's a strong relationship to the evolution of Cubism and also of Surrealism. You say Surrealism, what is it? I don't see any relationship to Dali. I'm not talking about that sort of Surrealism. I'm talking about Surrealism as being an altered state of reality that suggests an inner state or inner model of reality, a sense of the unknown, of the unconscious, of mystery. Gerzso's work has all of that. And finally, and probably the most personal reference for Gerzso, is pre-Hispanic art. If you have the opportunity to visit or see photographs of pre-Hispanic architecture from Mexico or other areas of the Americas, you'll be struck by the fact that these are stone forms that are dominated by sharp silhouettes. And this is a strong characteristic also of Gunther Gerzso's work. So these are some of the associations in Gunther Gerzso's work. There's much more to his work, but I would encourage you to look at our website. You can get a book on Gunther Gerzso's work, and I hope you'll look at more of his work. He's a great artist. Thank you.